for me, it's myself. To prove my 5-year-old self that I took you out from there, now you're here. And we can go even further, you and me. Because it's that little kid that I'm trying to protect. As I said once on socials, I feel like I became someone who 5-year-old me was missing. Someone who 5-year-old me was craving to have to be protected from the outer world. So I created that persona in me, basically, that kind of mentality.
Okay, do you prefer Vedad or V?
It depends of the situation. I mean, like V is more chill. So if the podcast is going on the chill trajectories,
that's true.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, if we're gonna keep it super professional, then it's Vedad is obligatory. So
easy. Let's go, Vedad. Otherwise known as V. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Obviously, yeah, we met at Bali MMA, adjusting to the ice bath, that type of thing. And yeah, we got talking, and yeah, it seemed like you had a real passion for self-development and that type of thing. So I think to start off, it'd be cool to hear about where that passion has come from, perhaps in your own life and that type of thing.
Yeah, that's a great question. So basically, for the past, let's say, 7-ish years, I spent my free time more or less reading about Stoicism or Stoic philosophies, and I developed a great passion towards implementing those philosophies into modern times, basically. And roughly 2 years ago, I started growing massively on Instagram. I gained around 200,000 followers in less than 3 months. And I acquired around 30 million views. And what I did was basically, I understood that fitness world is oversaturated and everyone is showing off their bodies, everyone's egoistic, everyone is about me. And I realized that I should implement these philosophies as voiceovers, helped by my friend, who's a dancehall artist, so he has a pretty deep voice. And I should film myself in the gym wearing a hoodie. So the main focus or topic of the story isn't me. It's about manliness, manlyhood, about how to develop yourself, about how not to procrastinate and stuff like that. So I would be just a pawn in the game, more or less.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point as well, because especially for young kids, right? How much access to social media do they have, and yet who are they following? I always think about this. Back in my day, I used to watch a couple YouTubers, and they used to say obviously very rude things and that type of thing. And I noticed when I'd say the same stuff in school, I would get in trouble because it was offensive and that type of thing, and very inappropriate for my age as well. I think I was like, 12 years old, quoting all these YouTubers and stuff. And then there's the other side to it as well, right? I think you're right. There is a lot of vanity on Instagram naturally.
Indeed.
And everyone's sort of playing this game where it's like, right, who can get the most likes, attention, that type of thing. And I think it can be quite easy to, I think for us to like step back and see what's going on, right? It's like, okay, why are they doing this? But like you said, I think especially the younger audience, they're sort of following these people. And like you said, I think there's sort of a lack of like a good role model, perhaps. Is that what you found?
It is because, like, let me put it this way, as we talked yesterday at the gym, we live in the time where it has never been easier to make money online, right? But also in time of so much information, so much free information. And people are over-consumed by that information. We don't have any filters on social media. So we don't know what's right, what's wrong. Even me with big following, I can maybe misinform people. I'm not doing that, but I'm saying that you can do whatever you want on social media. It's like a free world out there. So these kids, younger generations or people younger than us, they get overconsumed by all of the information and then they get lost. And then they start thinking psychologically, can I swear here or not?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, they think, like, oh, fuck, I'm not good enough. Like this guy or this girl that's my age, they do better than me. But then we need to draw back, as you said, and we need to realize that our start point isn't the same as theirs. So we shouldn't compare. We should soak in the information, take in the information, focus onto our own self-development, not comparing with each other's. Because successful people, they don't compare. They help each other. Let's help each other to grow. And that's what I'm doing on my social media. Everyone who approaches me, who writes me a DM, I answer them. I'm not gatekeeping anything. You know, that information is probably out there on social media that I already have. So if you ask me, I'm gonna answer the question. Back to the story, when I started growing, I did this, I called it the whiteboard method. It's pretty simple. I wrote on a whiteboard in my office, I wrote the names of biggest creators that I found interesting on social media, in fitness world or self-development world, and I wrote pros and cons, what they do good, what they do bad. And I wrote what should I do better than them. And then I realized by this brainstorming, I should do this. These motivational videos, we invented some rules, rule number 1, 2, 3, and like one of the rules all combined on TikTok and social media had over like 500 million views, not on my platform, on my social media, but like everyone was using that rule. Yeah, I think it was rule number 1 or rule number 5. I don't remember now. That we literally invented by sitting at the office. So I just did something that was out there, but that no one else was doing in the fitness world, because fitness world was overconsumed by ego, and there wasn't so much self-development psychology. It was like, there's this good-looking, juiced-up guy, and like, who's better than me? No one, you know. And I haven't done that. I left the ego behind the doors. I went in on social media with open heart, with everything I know from philosophy and I just implemented it in the today's day and age, basically, and that resulted in a growth of almost or more than 200,000 in 90 days.
Yeah, and obviously people resonated with it. It's really interesting because it's a theme that's come up on the podcast before. It's like, what's your why? But in terms of like, why are you doing something, right? And for the gym, I think there is a lot of vanity there. Like you said, I think people do it, I don't want to say for the wrong reasons, but oftentimes...
Mostly it is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's that comparison. Comparison is a thief of joy. You know, like, because why should I go on social media to be like someone else? I want to be myself. Because that mask is going to fall anyways after 6 months, 9 months. You know, then people are going to think, shit, this dude is the same creator as all of these people. Why should I follow him? I'm just going to unfollow him. But for me, my goal on social media is to create a personal brand, to create something that people are going to resemble with on a daily. You know, and like lately, like for the last year, I'm not chasing likes. I'm not chasing anything like that. I'm literally creating what I like, what I love. And I would rather have, let's say, 10,000 people who resonate with me, who are part of my community, than 1 million people that if I do something wrong, where they're going to drop me off.
Yeah, and it's about being, again, I'm sure you're not as polarizing as other people, right? But it is about, putting what you want out there that shows you and not being afraid of what people will think of you. I think that's a big problem, not only, I think, in society, but you look at like Hollywood as well. I remember on Joe Rogan, I remember he was saying how a lot of celebrities were sort of thanking him for endorsing Trump because they were scared to, right? And okay, it's not about what side of the political spectrum you are, but it's more of a sense of people were scared to say what they feel. And I think that's one of the big things, I think, in self-development. And when we grow up, right, it's like people try and fit in, okay? It's like you go up in school and... everything. Yeah, you kind of see, right, I have to act this way, and you hide your inner self. And I think it's only as we get older, we stop giving a shit, I guess, right? I guess not everyone, but more or less like the system molds you basically. Like it teaches you from the preschool, school, and everything, like how you should be as a law-abiding citizen. That you should do this, and that in order to get rewarded from the society. Rewards in school are grades. Rewards when we get older are salary, right? Then if you work, if you are a good slave to the system, basically, then you can get pension. Then you die, and that circle never ends. So if you break out from that circle and see that, shit, I don't want to be something like this, you're probably going to have naysayers even in your family telling you, either you ain't going to make it, you lunatic, you dumb, you this, you that, but like at the end of the day, you are born alone, you're going to die alone. So why waste your time into doing stuff that everyone else tells you to do? Choose for yourself. But it takes a while for people to have
Indeed.
that moment, right?
Indeed.
So I wonder, what was your moment? How old were you, and what made you think this isn't right? What I've been told about how life works. When did you have that moment?
That's
in your
such a
head?
great question because, like, I spent 22 years in Bosnia, which is a third world country or developing country, depending on the definition. And I have always been told that the way to make it in life is to go to university and to work for government where you have proper monthly salary in order to survive, basically. I realized that pretty young that my goals don't align with the goals that my parents told me. And in that way I became a little bit of a black sheep in a family because I wouldn't follow their goals. And then I finished uni, don't get me wrong. I finished uni, I studied at 2 unis and all of that, but that wasn't fulfilling to me because I was always this kind of entrepreneur where I would flip things, buy, sell, try to build something. So while studying, I was working as every student, like at the bars, the hotels, motels, having these side jobs while building something. And for me, uni was more like, let's say, like a course to acquire these skills because I was thinking even at that time, I was thinking about self-development, how to become better, how to take myself outside of this circle of this city of 10,000 people where everyone's thinking the same, where I'm thinking a bit differently and I see I don't fit in. I always saw myself like building something big. Like, I don't care if people are going to know about me, don't know. Like, I don't have ego when it comes to that. Like, I want to build a blueprint, something that's going to be there for generations, for my grandkids, for people to live off. So I want to break that generational curse or generational chain where I don't need to rely or try to build something from, or I mean, where my kids don't need to rely or to try to build something from ground zero like I did, where they can take something over and build it even more.
I see.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, that's how you create this generational wealth. And for me, honestly, that's the goal. Because in every wealthy family, you had someone who was poor sometime back in the past. Because, like, not everyone was born with the money. So
What was your family upbringing like? Was it in terms of that type of thing?
I mean, I was born 3 months before the war started. So, like, I was 4 months when the war started and I was around 4 years when the war ended. So, like, for me, my first memories weren't playing in the park and, like, playing with kids. It was mostly basement, hiding in basements, bombings, and stuff like that. So, but that molded me also to become who I am today because when you have that background or that upbringing, you realize pretty early what does money mean, what does social security means, what does roof over your head mean, and stuff like that, and you are less afraid of these worldly things.
Right, and that's probably a good thing, right?
Indeed,
Because I think a lot of people can get into a bit of a bubble and they think just life's quite sort of plain sailing and they don't actually get that financial education until much later down the line.
Exactly.
Right? It's not something they teach in schools.
Exactly. Because as a kid, if you are always worried about the money, of course you become more, let's say, manly because unfortunately, you don't have childhood, you lose childhood, but you acquire some skills that I personally am grateful for. Maybe someone else would be broken in that regard or they would think pity of themselves or stuff like that. But for me, I'm honestly really grateful for that because it made me the man I am today. Someone who's not ego driven, someone who's about self-developing and someone who's more or less someone who has this theory of I want to leave the mark in this world. I'm not nobody. And you need to think highly about yourself, but it's a fine line of not having ego and thinking highly about yourself, knowing that, I'm good enough to make it big, but I'm not better than you or than someone else. Everyone is good enough to make it big, if you understand.
Yeah, well, I 100%. I've heard Aaron on this podcast. He was saying the same thing. Like everyone has the power
Definitely.
to do extraordinary things, just ordinary people. You touched upon an interesting point there because I think self-confidence and self-belief is so important, right? And that's why, again, you'll see people sort of questioning people, oh, he's so full of himself, that type of thing, which often I think is an insecurity projecting, right? But then, and I always think that's good, right? Because if someone's quote unquote full of themselves, right, that means they've got self-love, and it's like, wouldn't you rather they love themselves rather than were, sort of depressed and sort of lack that self-belief? I wondered, because you touched upon the point of having that balance between sort of keeping your ego in check and having that self-belief. How have you sort of managed that process, right? Because it is very difficult for all of us to keep our ego in check sometimes. Is there anything that you've done throughout your journey to help you stay balanced?
Step number one with self-development, and as you yourself mentioned, of not having an ego, is not caring what other people think. Because if you know deep in yourself what's your purpose and where you come from while saying some sentences or projecting some energy, it doesn't matter what other people think, right? So if I know that I don't have an ego, I'm self-sufficient, I'm good enough of knowing that, right? So for me, it was more or less that I humble myself by knowing that both you and me came to this world and that there's a God. So how can I have ego where there's a higher power than me? You get what I mean? So in that regard, I can't have an ego, because ego is a devilish thing in every Abrahamic religion. Ego stems from devil. I'm better than him. When God created Adam, devil said, I'm better than him. Who's he? So for me, I stem from there when it comes to ego.
Yeah. I mean, there's I know as Ryan Holiday did, ego is the enemy.
It is.
And
It is. Ego is the enemy and comparison is the thief of joy. Like those things, all of those negative things. I mean, for example, Andrew Tate says one really good thing regarding energy. He says that energy is always going to be present. Energy is always going to be there. So if you have a negative energy, you can do it as positive. You can literally flip it into positive. So we always can. Problems, 99% of the problems in our head are never going to happen. So instead of us thinking about negatives, let's think about the positives and let's manifest positivity. Like if you ask someone 20, 25 years ago to project my future, they wouldn't probably project me buying brand new cars, me living in different continents in the world, me doing this, me doing that. They would probably project me working in a municipality office in a third world country. That would be the top. So, like you need to think highly of yourself that you're going to make it, because if I made it, anyone can. And I don't think I made it. I'm just starting. Like for me, every new step forward is a new starting point. Is a new minimum, honestly.
Yeah, and I think also manifestation's a big part of that as well, right?
It's a real thing, man.
It really
it's a real freaking thing.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps you could explain it better than I can, but yeah, the way I see it, it's like if you're sort of telling your brain that you've already done that thing, you're always going to be searching for those things even subconsciously, and it's going to make a massive difference. And
Exactly.
Sometimes I've accidentally manifested stuff because I've been thinking about it in the back of my mind, and then it's happened.
How do they say, where focus flows, energy goes?
Yeah.
And it's basically like that, because you're going to find a way to do something if you manifest that thing. Being that something materialistic, something different, or because lately people are mostly driven about the materialistic side of manifestation and things. But I can give one advice to viewers: when you drop the weight of your shoulders when it comes to thinking of how much money you're gonna make, trust me, you're gonna make even more money, because you're gonna focus more into working, into doing good job, into building something than doing quick fixes or quick flips. Like, because we live in that day and age where people are dropping these courses how to earn 5 figures a month, 6 figures a month in 3 months, 4 months. There's no shortcut to success.
No.
I mean, you can, obviously, you can make 5, 6 figures a month pretty easily if you hit a jackpot. Why not? But the thing is that that's not going to build you this legacy that I'm talking about. I'm always going to take a step back, build something on a long term, and either sell it or expand it or employ someone or do something like that to build something that's going to make me more money in the future or in the long term, to put that way, than to do quick flips, quick fixes. Because, like as an entrepreneur, you need to think also how to adjust into certain situations, of course, but you need to think like, what's my purpose, what I'm going to build, and like how to build it. Because when I see these overachievers, centimillionaires, billionaires, they still work. And I start asking myself, like, because before I dreamt, when I get financially independent, see, I'm saying when, not if, that's manifestation. When I get financially independent, I'm going to stop working, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to. And then I start, like following, reading books from these super mega entrepreneurs and like these people that left the mark on this planet Earth, and I realized all of them still work. And then my head realized that it's not about the money, it's about the process, about the building something. Because you thrive, you feel good when you build, and you feel even better when you give. So just taking, that's also ego driven. Like you would feel, I can guarantee you would feel so unfulfilled if you would to make your money on some illegal way, to fly off to Dubai, to live there for 3 years, just spend money on cars. You'd be like, this ain't purpose of life. But if you build something on a long term, and then did that, and then maybe bought a house to your mom or someone else, then you would feel fulfilled. You'll feel blessed. You would be like, even if you believe in God, universe, energies, I don't care. I think religion is a personal thing between you and the creator, no matter how you call your creator. So I don't go into that. But like, you would feel some nice, fulfilling energy. You would feel like your soul has been cleansed because you did the right thing. You get my point? So it's about building at the end of the day.
Yeah, a lot to process there. I think, the crucial one that you've picked up on, it comes up on this podcast, but it's this theme of, right, it's not the end destination. If you're focused just on that, then I'm sorry, but, if you hit it, then there's going to be a big shock waiting for you, right?
It's the journey.
Especially if you, I think you need to embrace the journey at all the different stages, right? It can't be, it's never going to be plain sailing.
No.
But you've got to embrace it at all costs. And I also think you mentioned an interesting one there, this idea of like a higher power, right? For me, it's like the universe. It's like, okay, the world's gone on far longer than you've been here, right? You're going to have this limited time on this earth and then you're gone, right? So it's not about you. And I think just taking that out of it can allow you the freedom in your mind to just, right, okay, let's do this. It's not about me here. It's about like the wider world. And yeah, you've touched upon some interesting stuff there. I mean, you've sort of, wanting to leave sort of a legacy behind as well. That's a super interesting idea. And you've touched upon business as well, being an entrepreneur and falling in love with sort of a journey, if you like. What were how's your entrepreneurial journey been? Have there been big sort of ups and downs? How have you dealt with that to keep on going? Because I can see from here, you've got a very strong mindset, right? But that's come from somewhere. You weren't born with that, I presume.
Absolutely not. I think when I was growing up, I was the kid that feared the most I was afraid of everything, basically. Like, of everything. And that's also normal when you have uncertainty in your life, right? And then that molds you into this person that's more resistant to everything, like it's more of an energy or a manly trait where you're like, okay, I'm going to meet my fears. And that's what I do on a daily basis. I meet my fears. Like when I start training BJJ, I always looked upon these fighters and everything, but I never loved contact sports of me being included in them. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to start training this because that's one of my fears. I'm going to meet my demons through contact sports or martial arts, to put that way. So that's the same thing through entrepreneurship. I do boring stuff. I love doing boring stuff. I love doing uninteresting stuff. I love doing stuff that... I love solving problems that are more or less unsolvable, because that's how you develop a strong mindset. That's the same thing with pro athletes. Why do they wake up 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, repetition? Then you create this discipline. And that's how you mold this strong mindset, or that's how you develop a new skill. You do something that's boring on a daily basis. As Kobe Bryant said, he was bored waking up in the morning, but he was the hardest worker in the room. Michael Jordan was the same. You know, like hard work beats talent. Of course, they were overly talented and they were super athletes, but hard work. I mean, look at Cristiano. You know, like everyone can hate on him, but he puts the work in on a daily. And the guy is probably a billionaire, I think, right? He puts the work on a daily basis. That's the same thing in entrepreneurship. I had more failures than successes, basically. And that's normal. And sometimes I ask God for failures because that's how I feel that I can level up. I can go on to the next level. I know, okay, after this storm, it's going to come something good.
I think there's a comfort as well in when something, I don't like to say bad because it's not bad, but when something unexpected happens to you, I think just acknowledging, right, this was meant to happen. Like you said, whether it's a God or it's a universe, whatever you believe in, doesn't matter. But I think just knowing, right, that was meant to happen, I think that can help you just, make peace with it. And then, okay, why did that happen? Okay, what has it taught me? But I think the problem is that when we become attached to our emotions and we see it for that rather than for what it is, which is a learning experience, I think that's when the issue comes, right? And like you've said, it's just you've chased the hard things, the difficult things, and over time, I guess it's just become second nature to you, right? Like, I presume, like, you're a very big lad, right? So I presume for you, going to the gym is just like, it's part of your route, like you're putting that in your routine.
I hated it. I literally hate it.
Oh, you hate it?
I hate it because I have been training for 17 years. But it's my routine. And I need to do it. If I want to keep the body that I'm satisfied with, I need to put the work in.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, sometimes in nature, we have these lazy days, right? So sometimes I just love to chill and play video games. But I got rid of my PlayStation. You know, like I don't like distractions because I think in my nature I fall into distractions pretty easily. Because I'm this person who wants to be at 10 places at the same time. I want to do so much in life. I can get distracted easily also. And I think most of your viewers are like that because, as we touched in the beginning, we live in this day and age of so much free information. We are not bored. And people create most when they are bored. But what do we do today when you're bored? You take your phone, you scroll. I scroll. Everyone does. So to not go from the topic, basically, all of these things that I hate, I do them on a daily. Because, like, lifting weights for 17 years ain't fun. Like, it's a monotone process, you know, like you do the same thing, pull, push, legs, day off, pull, push.
Yeah.
It's not fun. But still I do it on a daily because I came this far. So I didn't came this far just to come this far. So I need to continue. I need to continue to put the work in. There's the same thing with entrepreneurship, with business. In order to have the same quality of life, I need to work as hard as I'm working or harder. So you can't just stop working when you work for yourself. If I just stop working, I'm going to fail. And I don't want that kind of failure. You know, I want failures on the way to the top. And I embrace them. I love them. I embrace them. I embrace failures. I embrace struggles. I embrace problem solving. Even if I'm irritable, it doesn't matter. That's my nature. I thrive I feel comfortable in the uncomfortable. And of course, everything stems back from the childhood itself. Because as a kid growing up in the war, that's pretty uncomfortable for everyone. You know, your fight and flight is always kicked in. So you are in this survival mode. And that's how I do in entrepreneurship, you know. So I go where no one else will go. I go there. I build where there are so many naysayers. If people tell me that something ain't gonna work, I love that. Then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna prove you. I'm gonna prove myself. I'm gonna prove everyone wrong because this is gonna work. I'm gonna make it work.
So is your motivation? Is it yourself or
yourself?
Definitely. Or is it the hate? Or is it like the people who?
No. That of course, like even if you are not focused on to other people, as I said, I don't care what people think. Sometimes, you know, like you feel this sense of fulfillment when you do something, when you acquired some kind of accolade or something like that. But for me, it's myself to prove my 5-year-old self that I took you out from there. Now you are here. And we can go even further, you and me, because it's that little kid that I'm trying to protect. As I said once on socials, I feel like I became someone who 5-year-old me was missing, someone who 5-year-old me was craving to have to be protected from the outer world. So I created that persona in me, basically, that kind of mentality.
Did you have any? Because I'm always fascinated by someone's environment. Because for me, environment makes such a big difference, right?
Indeed.
The people who are around you, do they inspire you? That type of thing. I wonder, because was it all sort of by yourself, or was there a point where you kind of had people who could help you out and that type of thing?
Everyone helps you some way, either in a bad or a good way, because you need to project that energy into something positive. So I'm like a sponge. I try to soak in information on a daily, even today, because I have this theory that my theory of success is if you do everything that you can, as hard as you can, you are successful, no matter how much do you earn, because it's not about the money. Success ain't about the money. It's about how much you put in. So your position in life, your title doesn't mean for me. And then when it comes to growing, I don't need someone who's light years ahead of me in entrepreneurial journey to be inspired from. I get inspired daily from you, from everyone around me, because I don't have ego. I try to learn from everyone, because everyone is an encyclopedia of knowledge in their own term, right? So that's how I did in life, even like from my grandpa, who's not that educated, but he's wise in some point. I got inspired from him.
Well, this is because that sounds like a superb inspiration, right? This is the bit I'm really interested in, because I feel like it's so important, like you said, to have an open mind to the world. I'm reading based off a book recommendation. It was The Untethered Soul, which is a great book, and it teaches you, right, okay, we make these judgments on the world because it creates a safer environment.
Exactly.
Right? And so that's why it's so good to just have an open mind rather than putting labels on. But then there is this part of me, again, just speaking with people, is like some people, perhaps they haven't been on the same path you're going on. Are they qualified to give advice and that type of thing? So
depending what kind of advice, yeah.
Yeah, it's this balance, right? Because you want to be open-minded with everyone. Because how many times, it might be when we're younger or what have you, but even now, I think our human nature is to judge people. But I'd love to have an open mind, but I do think you can't be too naive as well. But I don't know how you've sort of balanced that, because it sounds like you're being very open-minded, learning from everyone. Is it a case of, right, letting sort of everyone in and then you just sort of picking and choosing what you take from it, that type of thing?
More or less, because it's called diplomacy, right? Everyone has right to share their own opinions. So for me, it's like I hear people, I fact check really often. I'm really nerdy when it comes to that.
So that's the important part.
Yeah, I'm really nerdy when it comes to that. I fact check everything, like information that everyone gives me, I do a fact check on it. So it's really important, but it's also important to learn that you can learn from everyone. Because you may be expert, let's say, in nutrition. I may be expert in finances. Okay, maybe your financial advices aren't as strong as mine, but still you have something that I don't know, because we are not all knowing. At the end of the day, we are humans. So we need to share experiences. That's what I liked with these older civilizations, where they have had in villages these chieftains or the wisest person, and they would ask that person, because that person would acquire knowledge from other villages, other people. That's like, for me, it fulfills me to, as I said, like I'm a sponge. For me, it fulfills me to share knowledge, to gain knowledge, to hear something new, either that being history, geography, finances, self-growth, self-development, fitness, BJJ, whatever. I like to know a lot, because that's how I grow. That's how I become stronger mentally.
And I think that's the issue with a lot of experts, is because they are an expert in their field, they're probably not likely to keep on improving, right? And I think whatever stage you're at along your journey, you've just got to keep on learning, keep on growing, no matter where you think you're at. Like you said, like when we are sort of growing, it is quite easy to just, think that we know it all. And like you said, there is a bit of ignorance there as well. I think that the difficulty comes, again, when we talk about younger people. Your mission was, right, make sure they have access to
Indeed.
the right information. But then that's the problem, again, with having the open mind when you're young, is that if you're not critically thinking, you're following all these influencers or influences that aren't really serving you right. So it's, I wonder, you said at the beginning, you noticed the bad things that these guys were doing and the good things. Was this in terms of stoicism or just in the fitness industry?
No, it didn't have anything to do with stoicism. Stoic philosophy was basically the philosophy I wanted to implement because I have such a strong passion for it. I want to implement into my social media.
Okay.
So these guys weren't doing stoicism at all. It was just normal, let's put it like that, normal fitness accounts. But they were really maybe or maybe not big on self-development and some kind of lifestyle videos and such. So I realized, okay, they're doing this better than me, or they're doing this good if I find it good. They're doing these stuff that are, according to me, bad or negatives.
Yeah.
And I just brainstormed on those ideas. And I was like, okay, I made a conclusion where I can wear a hoodie and use my friend, and just it went with the flow. Okay. You know, like like Juventus used voiceovers twice. It was good to see, to be like seen from big accounts on socials. You know, even if you don't care that much about it, it's also nice to see reputable sources using those audios and or sharing your videos and stuff like that, because then you feel, okay, this is something genuine. I'm on the way to build something big on socials.
And I think it's positive as well, right? Because when you are doing that scrolling, how much shit is going into your brain if your algorithm's a bit fucked up, right? So I think, if you are going to be consuming something, I've even got adverts now. I think some people were trying to create scrolling, but for educational stuff, which is also a cool idea as well. I wonder, do you ever get a battle in your mind? Because I've had this as well, where you're aware of these Stoic principles, right? And you want to live your life that way. But then sometimes emotions will come up, right? Do you think there is space to sometimes right, I'm not going to be Stoic today. It doesn't mean you're going to take it out on other people, but sometimes, okay, I am going to feel a bit angry today, or I am going to feel a certain way. Did you ever find that to be a challenge at all?
It's a normal human emotion, right?
Right.
So as we touched upon, we shouldn't act upon our emotions all of the time. But let's say someone dies in your family. If you want to cry, just cry. As a man, at the end of the day, you need to be strong. You need to be there as a provider, as a nurturer also. But you need to have this soft side that's gonna be shown or open to the loving ones. You know, maybe not to the world. We go out, we put our coat of a mask that we are someone when we go out on the street, but you are someone else with your family. You are someone else at work. So emotions are normal thing. Just how we react, how we act upon our emotions, that's completely different. But I have some days where I'm like, shit, CBF, I can't put so much work today, or
right.
And I'm like, one day ain't gonna kill me, but still I try to be productive on that day. Because if I do that on the second day, third, fourth, fifth day in a row, then I'm thinking, fuck, I ain't gonna build this generational wealth. I'm not breaking this generational curse of my bloodline. I'm being same like them. So I'm pretty harsh on myself, but I'm also pretty open, if that makes sense. Sometimes, there's no life-work balance, of course. That's a big lie when you're an entrepreneur. You basically work 24/7. So you're on your phone all of the time and stuff like that. But sometimes if you feel that's a burden, it's rather better to draw back, chill, and then to put more work in, especially in creative fields. Because, for example, Mr. Beast, who is the biggest creator on YouTube with 324 million, I think, or something like that, followers, crazy. He himself says that he works 30, 40 days in a row. Then he feels burned out. I don't remember, 1 or 3 days he takes off, and then he works. Because sometimes you need to take day off. You need to, muscles grow in the kitchen. Muscles grow from sleep. They go from the rest. For example, let's take gym as an example. So that's your brain grows from rest also. I can be super stressed 24/7, ignorant, not reading books and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm okay. I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to be creative. It doesn't work like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I've tried to work on as well, right? Because there is this mind and body connection, and it's like if you're working fucking hard on your business or idea, and you're pushing yourself in jiu-jitsu or the gym, eventually I think your body just sort of gives up. It happened to me a couple of weeks ago.
Of
My
course, it's
body
going to
was like,
crash. You're going to hit the wall.
yeah,
You're going to hit the wall. And that's normal with entrepreneurs. Being all new entrepreneur, that's normal. Everyone hits the wall, and then you realize, shit, maybe I ain't that strong enough. I need to draw back and minimize these things and maximize rest or eat even more proper food and stuff like that. Because what I'm telling you all of this from my experience, because I was there for many years. I had 2-3 years where I got focused into, as I mentioned, into money making, and I neglected the gym. I neglected the work part. I neglected everything, and instead of me building more, expanding my businesses, I was at the same level for maybe 2-3 years. I haven't expanded that much as I hoped. So, and honestly, one day I was looking at myself. At that time, I lived in Sweden. I was looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, fuck, man, you look awful, honestly. And then I realized I need to go back on diet, go back, do this, do that, do that, and focus more onto self-development and well-being than onto money making. And that was my point where I realized that if I don't focus only on money is going to come in, because I see money as a stamp on a white paper, as a black stamp at the end for good work. Puff, you did a good work, money is going to come in. Money is going to come anyways. Why focus on money? Why be stressed about the money? It's just something that's not regulated, that's printed there. It's a paper, it's a piece of paper. And we give so much value to it. But why not give value to, as I mentioned, I'm so passionate about it, about building something generational, about building something that we wished our parents have built. You get my point? About something that our kids can be born into. Like, I want my kids to be mocked that they come from rich parents, honestly. If they don't, I failed.
Yeah, I guess that's your motivation, right? That's your ambition, and obviously it's important to have that. But then does that, again, put a lot of pressure on you, and how does that sort of influence you?
No, because I know I'm going to make it. So it does put that, it puts pressure, of course. Pressure is also normal. But it does put that pressure that I'm like stressed on a daily, when's it going to come. I understand it's a process. Building something that I want to build, it's not something that I'm going to build before I'm 35, before I'm 40. It's going to take years. And I'm ready to put that sacrifice, because for me it's not sacrifice, it's my purpose in life. And for me it fulfills me. Someone else may call me lunatic, or may call me, shit, he's missing on so much in life. Trust me, I ain't. Trust me, I ain't. I took 15 flights this year. Like, I'm super satisfied with my life. And I created this life where I can work. We are in Bali right now. I can work from Bali. I can work from Dubai. I can work from Australia, from Sweden, from anywhere. So for me, it doesn't put pressure at all.
Yeah.
Because it's going to come.
Well, you mentioned a good point there as well. I had a similar thing. I think there was one point I was going jiu-jitsu 6 times a week. And I had friends who were like, oh, Harrison, you should go to the pub. Just have a pint and a cigarette or something. But what they don't understand is that someone else's pain, perhaps, like pain, or what someone else would see as like chores or whatever, it's like that's a thing you end up loving, right?
Exactly.
And that's why you can't just, everyone's on their own little journey and they love different things and everyone gets different kicks out of life. I wonder, when you mentioned about, sometimes you would sort of burn out and stuff, have you found a nice balance? Because there's also another part, which is like, right, can you really give 100% in the gym / health, your sleep, your social relationships, obviously, as well, your business? Like, I think eventually something has to give, right? So how have you decided on those trade-offs? Has it been your relationships? Has it sometimes been the business? I don't think it would have been, based on our conversation. Is it relationships? What do you think's taken the biggest hit for you?
It's probably social relationships, I would say, and that's the most common thing about every entrepreneur or self-employed person, because I prioritize and I choose to spend more time working or training or doing stuff that are more important to me than hanging out with friends. Because especially as someone who travels a lot, like I'm at that stage in life where I'm not looking for friendships as strong as I had childhood friendships, because it's almost impossible to build them when we are in our 30s. Maybe it may come, but like I'm not out there looking for that, because for me it would be distraction to put so much time into that social aspect of life in regard of my work. But I have a loving partner. She understands my type of work and she travels around with me. So there I compensate and I spend time with her, because for me it's I'm a how to put it this way, I date to marry. For me, I'm not someone who's gonna go out and like go to clubs, meet different people and stuff like that. For me, that's honestly a waste of time. I mean, many people may get triggered, but like if you want to do something that I'm doing, you need to quit that distraction basically. So for me, it's like I would rather spend time with my girlfriend than meeting friends in a pub. Like for me, my off time is jiu-jitsu basically.
Well, that in and of itself.
I talk with the lads,
That's
like
a social thing.
that's
right?
a social thing.
Like, yeah,
Jiu-jitsu is like
I get a kick out. That's the thing. Like I do occasionally do social events. Again, not much for drinking myself, but I do think those networking events are cool.
I love
especially
those.
in Bali.
I love
Those
those.
are cool.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
But I bring my girlfriend there also.
Okay, well, so you guys like proper, yeah.
Yeah, because when you come to a certain age, I don't want to put myself into situations where I'm gonna give different kind of vibes, if that makes sense. Especially when you have a substantial amount of followers, people maybe want to hang out with you because of that reason, or maybe
Quite inauthentic. Maybe.
Yeah, but like I'm much deeper than that. I may come off because of my muscles and everything, like a earhead or a meathead, but like
Yeah, people misunderstand.
Exactly. So I would rather
Yeah.
take my partner on those kinds of events, and that I didn't came here to search for anybody. I'm here with my partner, and
Yeah.
I'm loyal to her, and we are here just to network.
That's really awesome. I love that you brought her along as well. That's really cool.
Because for me, sorry for interrupting, that ain't the effort. For me, that's the definition of our relationship, and we both agree with that. It came naturally for us, because especially I work a lot, and she wants to spend time with me, so she hangs out on these kinds of events. Or
wow, and
you
don't want to. Do you ever crave just being alone sometimes, or that? Type
jiu-jitsu.
Of thing? That's your
Jiu-jitsu
outlet.
or gym, yeah, that's my outlet. Or if I want to take a walk, of course, no one is a prisoner. You get my point. So,
Yeah.
But like, I think I'm the most social introvert in the world. I'm super social.
Extroverted introvert.
Extroverted introvert, like that's my definition. I'm super social, super welcoming towards other people, as we both could realize. Like I like to get information, hear other people out and everything, but I like also to be in my head. But that for me doesn't need to be that I need one day off from, let's say, my partner, my parents, or whatever. I can just go for a walk and I'm good,
Okay.
Yeah, but like when I'm on a walk, I'm not looking around, like especially Bali and Dubai, there are those cities where people look around at each other, like everyone is mingling, everyone wants to date. I'm in my own world, man. I listen to some self-development audiobook, and that's also extreme, but that's extreme that I like, and that's extreme that fits me and my life. So who are you to judge, or who I am to judge? So basically, but like for me, it's a waste time, especially in my age, to go around and to meet, like different kinds of people instead of having some serious relationship. For me, you get this motivation to build even more when you think, shit, in a few years I'm gonna have a kid. Like
when you visualize and you see that person, he's going to be a huge part of your
yeah,
life.
exactly.
Yeah.
She's gonna carry my kids. Like she is here for me 24/7. She brings food in my office. When I'm working, I appreciate those small things. So for me, it's a minor thing to bring her on something like that. If she doesn't want to go, she's not obliged. She can go. Like do whatever she wants. But like for us, we are like more like. We are together there, because we live together also. So it's a bit different, but like we like doing stuff together and we thrive in that. And sometimes it's not like we talk that much. We can spend, let's say, 5 hours if I'm doing a deep work and she is just doing something
Just
girly,
being nice,
there or
yeah.
reading a book. Like we are there, we are not into each other's face. She's doing her stuff, I'm doing my stuff, deep work, but we are just present and we feel like we have been on date because we spend time together.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work for everyone because you have girls. Every girl is a needy. Every woman is needy. So you need to find this balance of like, okay, if I'm working this much, I'm gonna be man enough and buy her flowers tomorrow. I'm gonna be man enough on Saturday evening instead of me doing half an hour of cold bath. No one does it, but let's give an example. I'm gonna do 10 minutes and then I'm gonna take her for a quick dinner.
So putting almost her needs above yours sometimes, or
Yeah, it's a combination of both because in order to have a healthy relationship in a unhealthy schedule of work, you need to stretch out a little bit because the ego comes there. You think, ah, shit, I'm this, I'm that, I'm an entrepreneur. Why should I do this for her? Man, she's gonna carry your kids. You're gonna spend your life with her. What's more important, you building a company or having a loving partner? Because at the end of the day, I want to come home when she is satisfied with me and I'm satisfied with her. We are happy with each other. So you need to find a way how to balance those things out because relationship at the end of the day is a compromise also.
yeah,
It's a compromise.
That's a great point. It's something I've definitely learned as well. Because
We all learn, trust me.
yeah, well, even just like sometimes just because you must have had this, man. Like you get so focused on your own path that suddenly it's like you start thinking, right, this is the only fucking thing I want to focus on, and it's just like, I don't want any distractions and that type of thing. But like you said, I think it does take work. You can't just expect things to be like perfect all the time, or that they're always going to be emotionally available to you if you're only focused on your own shit, right? That must have been a conflict for you at times.
Indeed, for many years. But what I love with one thing regarding this topic is that Netflix co-founder, if I recall right, he posted on his LinkedIn about how in the early stages of building Netflix, even if the building was burning, quote unquote, on Tuesday evening he had a night out with his wife, dinner. It doesn't matter what. He was like at 5 p.m. you could only find me at the parking garage, at the parking lot. I was on the way home, and that's an amazing thing because you need to put also some kind of energy into your partner. What's good, and what I would give advice to viewers is also to have same hobbies. Because
The same hobbies?
Yeah, some of the same hobbies.
Okay.
For example, my girlfriend loves gym. She gyms a lot. And we go to gym together. We don't see, not every day, but like a few times a week. And we don't see each other at the gym more than 5 minutes maybe because she does her girl exercises, I do my exercises, but like still we are there. Like if she needs me, I'm there. If I need her, she is there. So that's also a good thing, like of being similar yet being different. Because my theory also of a long-term relationship or a serious relationship is that you as an entrepreneur shouldn't be looking for a career-driven woman, like a woman that's also an entrepreneur, because you guys are going to neglect each other. They are awesome for other men, but not for entrepreneurs.
That is really interesting.
People are going to hate me for this, but I don't care.
But this is really interesting.
You know what? Why? Because she's going to put the work in, you're going to put the work in. At the end of the day, I want someone to raise my kids because I know I ain't going to be there to do many things with them, but I'm going to provide them differently and still be a present father in those terms, if that makes sense. Because I need someone, and I have that in my partner, I need someone who's feminine, who knows what they want in life, and who's homebody in a way, who's going to bring you peace at home. Because when I open the doors, I don't want someone who's also stressed.
Fiery.
Who's also stressed because of their entrepreneurship. Once again, every female is awesome. Every female is beautiful, but for someone else. You get my point?
100%. And
Yeah.
it's really something that I resonate quite deeply with. I think especially in the early stages, even now to an extent, like I'm thinking, oh shit, like, you start thinking, right, okay, maybe, okay, and you try and form this idea in your head, like, okay, maybe if we're both like super fucking business orientated, and then that way, you know. But you're right. I just don't. Now you mention it, I don't actually think that would work, because you're both focused towards one thing, and then, yeah, I think actually just, and it also, I think it kind of forces us to be more of a man as well.
It's a competition. It becomes a competition when because at the end of the day, you want to make more money than her. Imagine you are dating a super entrepreneur, some female that's a boss lady that she's slaying it. Like, she's someone in marketing world. Everyone looks up to her. You as a man want to make more than her. And if you fail in that, you're going to develop these complexes. Because we as men also get insecure. So if you are going to date female like that, be ready that you need to be overachiever. More, you need to achieve more than her in order to gain this respect from her, and in order from her to drop the masculine and become a feminine version of herself. Because every female can be either masculine or feminine. It depends of what's your kind of character, how strong of a character you are to make her your little princess or to fight with her on a daily. So you need to be strong here in order to have a healthy relationship. So, but I realize that for me, what works is someone who's feminine, someone who knows what they want in life, and someone who wants to raise your kids. Because, like, for example, my partner, she helped me a lot with my own time blocks. Because sometimes I'm so into this work or new project, and like some kind of ADD or ADHD kicks in, and I'm, as we mentioned before the podcast, you know, like we get focused into one thing, then 10 things come, and we are like, we want to make it in this field, in this field, in that field. And she helped me a lot regarding time management. Like a few weeks ago, I came to the office, and she made this big mood board, like with our favorite cars, like with mansions, with everything, like, and that's what I need. That's someone who's feminine, and that's what I need in life. For me, it's fulfilling. For someone else, it may not be, but for me and my definition of life and my philosophical thinking, that makes me even stronger as a man. You know, because what's a strong man? What's a strong father tomorrow? It's like someone who can rip someone's head off and then in the same moment sit on the dinner table and be affectionate towards their own partner.
And I think that's what a great partner does, right? It does bring out that, it forces you to bring out your empathetic side.
It is.
Yeah.
It is indeed. And we talk a lot about self-growth, for example, about communication. We have this theory that number one factor for a really successful relationship is communication, because you need to communicate about your feelings. And as a man, once again, we have so much ego. So if you drop your ego as a man and communicate about your feelings and have someone who's feminine by your side, she ain't going to neglect you, because she's going to understand who you are, what you're going through, and she's going to help you to grow even more. And all of these overachievers, they're married men, they have kids, they have families. So purpose of life ain't money, man. Like it's having a healthy family, it's building something, and money is going to come. Stamp on a paper. Easy as that.
Yeah, I've had this conversation as well about relationships and that type of thing, because I was talking with another guest, and we were discussing, right, do you think, you know, single or relationship life? And I do think at certain periods of your life, there is going to be sort of different times for different things. I think perhaps when you're young, there is an argument to be said, right?
Definitely.
Okay, focus on your own shit and get that, you know, build for yourself. But I guess a relationship, it never really comes to you when you're looking for it. It's more just happens. It's like you said with money, right? It's like when you're not looking for something, it will naturally come towards you, which is an interesting way to think about it. Yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot here. Really interesting to hear your story. I'm sure we haven't even heard half of it, but yeah, so cool to have you on, V.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Mate, absolute pleasure. Closing tradition on this podcast is quite lighthearted. I asked the guest for their favourite song at the moment.
Favorite song at the moment? Sound of Silence. A song from the 60s. You guys can check it up on Spotify. Sound of Silence, definitely.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll add it to the playlist. And because you've been specialising in Stoicism for a while, do you have a quick, I don't know, Stoic quote or piece of advice or anything like that?
More or less everything from Marcus Aurelius. I have him even tattooed here, so
That's a beautiful tat.
thank you
Look at
so
that.
much. Thank you so much. So like, yeah, I follow his philosophy very much. So more or less
Check out his
everything
work.
from him. Yeah, yeah, and just think of checking his work and implementing it if it's relevant in today's day and age.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how Stoicism works for me, basically.
And I guess the cool thing is that we have like ChatGPT and shit now
Definitely.
to just help us,
Such a
right?
great
Take
tool.
this quote, apply this to everyday life. You know, it's amazing. So much possibility, super inspiring. V, thanks again, Billy.
Thank you so much. It was such a
Appreciate you.
pleasure. Thank you, Reda.